Hello, this is Michael with SteamPropsLLC. I appreciate you checking out my video. This was just kind of on the whim desire in order to be able to make a video with interest of helping some people figure out how to paint Nerf guns. I know that's a bit of a niche thing. If you stumble across this video, this mainly will be a very niche content type video. I tend to ramble a little bit, so thanks for checking out my first video on my YouTube page here. I'm going to do a couple of these, just do a little bit of a step-by-step per video, showing you how you can get started painting Nerf guns. Now, there's a bunch of people out there that do this more or less as a hobby. I've taken a little bit step further, and I've made a small little hobby business out of it. And I go to different conventions, steampunk specifically, genre related, but these definitely will fit in at any anime convention, and the possibilities are endless. There's so many different types of paints out there, methods. A lot of people, and I'm sure there's a lot of videos out there, I've seen quite a few of them, a lot of people have different methods. So however you do it, it's up to you. There's a lot of different ways to do this. So take your inspiration from several different places. Hopefully I give you a little bit of inspiration on this. It's been a very, very fun little hobby for me. And you should see my workshop. I'm in my basement right now, actually, my paint room that I have set up for this, but my next room over in the workshop is filled with Nerf guns. It's ridiculous. So it's a fun hobby. I find them all over the place. But for today, what I'm going to show you is how to get started, how I do it, on how to get started with a Nerf gun painting process. So there's a couple of things to walk over through this here with you. First and foremost, you want to make sure that for this step you have a good set of safety goggles, safety glasses, because you just don't want to get anything in your eyes with this, and you'll see why with this. So the way that I do this is a little bit more serious than some people. Some people just want to paint it and make it look cool. Me, I like to make it look really old, weathered, worn, used, more specifically for the steampunk genre. I use a lot of golds, I use a lot of bronze, copper, teal, black, white, silver, all sorts of those kind of metallic colors. But there's a variety of ways to do it and really make it look pretty cool. So good luck on your next cosplay adventure. If you're still with me as far as watching the content, follow closely and see what you can pick up. So let's get started. So first and foremost, you got the goggles, like I said, the safety goggles, safety first, in my basement. Again, bear with me, it's pretty messy down here, I apologize. But we're looking at the first tool that you want to have that I use is a rotary tool, 3-speed rotary tool in this case from Black & Decker. In this particular case, you've got several tools you can work with this. I have a diamond cutter blade if you wanted to lob something off on it. Didn't really like the way something looks on a prop. But in this case, mostly is what I use it for is a sanding tool. So this one in particular has a little lock on it. I've got kids, so they like to screw around with some of my stuff down here. I want to make sure it doesn't get turned on. There's a little locking mechanism, and then it's just a little spinning Dremel tool. So with this, the purpose of that is getting the badging off of the Nerf gun in this particular case. So I'll show you next. So here we have a Nerf strong arm. These are actually some of my favorite Nerf guns in order to be able to paint. And in this particular case, first step is to sand down the badging. So in some cases, I like to take this N-Strike Elite badge off on this one. Some of them I'll leave those on. It all depends on what your flavor is. But the Nerf badging, you want to sand that down. There is not one on this side. However, you can see in the reflection, you can see the cautionary lettering, the Hasbro manufacturer's information. There's another N-Strike Nerf Elite. And in this case, you've got the strong arm name on it. This is something that I like to wear down, but not necessarily get rid of. Just depends on if you want to keep that on there. If you don't, you can totally get rid of it. That is up to you. That's the best part about these kind of things is you can make it what you want. So I typically will leave those on there and keep an eye out underneath. There is a serial number. If you really want to keep that on there, you can. I usually do. It doesn't really look like it's anything too strange. Most weapons have a serial number of some kind, but hey, you never know. So showing you exactly how to work with this. Bear with me on this is my first video, so I'm going to try and do it piece by piece. Alright, we are back here, getting ready to do the Nerf gun grinding here. Kind of showing you overall how to be able to do this. Now, as you can see, I've got a new sander head on this, so it's got a lot of grit to it. As you can see, it really doesn't take a whole lot of effort in order to be able to get that ground down. You got a little bit of the end left on here. But in most cases, it really doesn't take very much in order to be able to get that done. Now, you could use a sanding block or sanding paper if you really wanted to, but it really would take a very long time and your hands would hurt probably after a little while. So this Dremel sander really comes in handy. Now you can see this is probably a little too rough in order to be able to use paint right on afterwards, and obviously you need to get all these little bits and pieces of plastic off there, which is why you want the goggles, because when it gets in your eye, that sucks. So, but with this, it really doesn't take a whole lot of pressure to be able to use. Don't push really hard into it. Because then you really get into the plastic and it bites in there and it's hard to cover that up with just paint. So you can really sand a lot of this down very easily, especially the manufacturer's labeling. That really doesn't take a whole lot of effort and a whole lot of time. Why would you do this with the Dremel? Why would you want to sand all this down? Because paint will make everything show up way more clear. So if you're using like a black paint or a silver paint on this, like something like this in the finished product, it will show up immediately. It's easy to see. So kind of take some of the authenticity out of making a weapon prop like this. So you'll want to really sand a lot of this stuff down. Gives you a really good finish. One final tool and then I'll wrap up the video. Alrighty, so last tool here for the grinding process that I would recommend using is a sanding brick. Sanding block of some kind, high grit, or you can use sanding paper if you really wanted to. That's up to you. I found that this lasts a lot longer, especially for these purposes. And this little side here, this ends up getting into some pretty nice grooves. So really all you want to do is just run this over the sanded spots just enough in order to be able to take the spurs off. So this is really nice and smooth. And at this point, all you really need to do is, I like to use either a rag or a air compressor to blow a lot of the dust out. So you can really see there's just a powder, fine powder all across the gun. You're definitely going to want to clear that off before you start applying the paint. Paint will not stick, it will chip, and it won't sit on the plastic very easily. So you're really going to want to keep that gun nice and clean. Again, air compressor works great. So, steps. You want to use goggles or safety glasses, your 3-speed rotary tool, regardless of whatever brand you prefer. Most of them work really well. Dremel, Black & Decker, DeWalt, whatever the case may be. Whatever your flavor may be. Take off whatever badges you want, especially the name brand stuff, Nerf, and some of the manufacturing badging. Some of the safety stuff. I'm betting that you're probably old enough in order to know, don't shoot yourself in the eye with these Nerf guns, but hey, you never know. So anyway, you can take off whatever badging you want, and then the next step is going to be, after you blow it off, painting. So next video, I'll go over different types of paints I use, different painting styles. There's lots of different ways in order to use this stuff. But you're going to see exactly how I do it, and maybe it'd be something you want to pick up. So if you like this video, sorry it's kind of rough content here, but hey, that's what I usually do. So if you like, share, and see if you can subscribe to my stuff if it's definitely of interest. This is Michael with SteamPropsLLC, and I hope to connect with you online. Thanks a bunch.